looking for you.
Well, I just want to do a little bit of reading for whoever's interested in some of the wisdom and discovery. Let's see what I got for you here. Let's see. We're going to read constitutional law. Your constitution is an ironclad contract enforceable in a court of law. It says the U.S. Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2, says the Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So basically, in lame terms, all government institutions, judges, lawyers, police officers, anybody that's affiliated, operating under the color of law or in order of the law, most are operating under the color of law, honestly. But the ones that are operating according to law, the Supremacy Clause, which is called U.S. Constitution Article 6, Clause 2, is the Supremacy Clause. And the Supremacy Clause basically makes it clear on the distinctive difference between real law and fake law that is notwithstanding in a court of law. So I guess the simplest way that I can explain this real quick and brief would be any laws, codes, statutes, regulations, rules, proclamations, or made up written papers, writs, you name it, anything made up, posted on the wall or on as a sign that's in conflict with the ironclad contract, the Constitution, then it's actually void and null, and there's a conflict. And then if there's a conflict whatsoever of those rules, statutes, codes, and regulations, and the fake laws that are in conflict, then they're not bound to any office, any court. They're not withstanding, period. And no judge, officers, administration, clerks, any authority figure that took the oath and is operating under the oath and the powers delegated to them under their enumerated powers, they have to obey the Supremacy Clause and not enforce conflicting laws. And they can't be granted in court of the conflicting laws. And the only reason why they get away with it is because nobody knows. There's only a few of us out there that know, and the ones that do know, they don't want anybody to know for the simple fact it's lucrative to them. They make a lot of money off your basic essentials of life and liberty and your basic alienable rights. They actually charge you for it. I can give you many examples on that, but I'm not going to get into that. But to make it simple, is any laws made that are in conflict is automatically void and null. And if you know the argument on it and know how to put it on writing and submit it in a timely manner, you'll win every time. But the fact of the matter is in the lower inferior courts, we're finding that most of them will do anything that they want until they get to the higher courts or to the appeal. And sometimes in the appeal process, it's the same too. But you have to keep filing all the way up to far enough till you get to the doorway of the higher courts, that where the actual law, where you can switch it and shift the burden of proof and list them as defendants and you as a plaintiff for the violations of the fundamental principles in the conflict, period. Okay, so that's a lot for you to understand. It took me many years to learn that and utilize it during process, and it got to the point where I got really good at it. I don't even have to actually go to court. They don't want Mr. Kirkland in the courtroom whatsoever. A lot of times I can write it in writing and submit it to the prosecuting attorney or to the attorney general or to all the listed defendants, and that drives a wedge between them all. And once I bring to their attention that the crimes they committed, it shifts the burden of proof, and then they tend to either leave you alone, take it off the record, or plead with you, or not negotiate at all, and they back off and leave you alone. But there is a few out there that, if you know this stuff and you apply it, it's very dangerous. So I recommend having a team when you apply this. You got to have at least 2 witnesses or a squad for your defense, in case you run into an actual foreign operatives that have the means and the guns and everything they need to come after you. Anyways, let me continue on. The next important one I want to read would be, real briefly, Title 5 U.S. Code, Section 556D, Section 557, Section 706. Okay, this one you can utilize in your benefit in a timely manner if any violations of due process been violated. I use it from any of the Bill of Rights 1 through 10, or the 14th Amendment, or anything in the Constitution that you believe they violated, that you can plug your situation into. And if that one there says the courts lose jurisdiction if they don't follow due process of law. So if you can show and prove that they didn't follow due process of law, then this here says if they did have authority over you or jurisdiction, they actually lose jurisdiction. But really, this won't be utilized too much unless, because the reason is a lot of times when there's no victim or property damage, they really have no jurisdiction, period. Bill of Attainders, tickets, and small infractions, there's no victim or property damage, so therefore there's no jurisdiction. They don't have no jurisdiction. The only way they get that jurisdiction over you is when you go into court, usually by yourself. The judge will read your rights and charges, and he'll say, do you understand your rights? And everybody says, yeah, I understand my rights. But then he slides a paper over to you, and when he slides the paper over to you, without you knowing, you just sign your signature and you give it back to him, and then now you just waived all of your rights. You just now contracted with them. You took your constitutional contract, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and then you took their contract by your signature, and now you're entitled to all their privileges and their laws, codes, statutes, and regulations. So right there, you got to stop that right off the bat at the beginning. You don't contract with them. You tell them in a humble way. You're there at a special appearance under the demurrer, and you want to file a dismissal, and you file a dismissal in writing, a short, small dismissal saying you're not contracting, and you make sure you lay out the shift the burden of proof, like I mentioned. Make it short and sweet. And then a lot of times the prosecuting attorney will give you the papers back, or they'll say, well, we're just going to list on you didn't sign, refuse to sign, and then she'll send it back to the prosecuting attorney's office, and then within 2 weeks, you'll have a couple letters back and forth with the prosecuting attorney. You give him the argument of whatever the situation. If you stick to what I told you, no jurisdiction, no victim, and you're not contracting with them, then they have nothing, and then the prosecuting attorney will usually file his own dismissal in the interest of justice. Usually, a smart attorney will do that. Okay, let me go on. Title 18. Here's the best one of all from when they when they fail to protect your rights during due process with 2 witnesses. Remember, 2 witnesses is the most important thing, and that's why they won't even let you in court to record or bring anybody in there. They only want you in there by themselves, or they kidnap you. But you gotta have 2 witnesses or some kind of recording devices, period, if you're in the courtroom, all right? And then if they fail to preserve the Constitution and follow and honor their oath of office, if they violate it in any way during court due process, here's what it says under law where you can charge them on count 1. This is the count 1 that I would use, and this will make a judge quiver and melt in his seat if you brought it up and if you knew it by heart. I did it in Texas. Actually, over the phone with the client when he was talking to the judge. I was on the phone telling the client what to say. And he's told me, he said, everything I said to him, and he went it and passed it on to the judge during court, he said that judge just melted in his chair there. He squirmed down, his jaw dropped, and he was like, he didn't know what, it was amazing. And I just got complimented on that from the the client in Texas. But anyways, let me get back to the count one that you should always remember, the most powerful thing of all. Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 2381. Here's what it says. It's short and sweet. This is already in the 10 minutes and 23 seconds read. I'm going to just read this one little last part and we'll close it so I can get this distributed. And then I'll do some more readings, short readings like this. Try to get them out to the public so people can experience my wisdom and my knowledge. And hopefully it doesn't get obstructed or blocked. Oh, that scared me with that PA system. Let's see. Title 18 U.S. Code Section 2381 says, in the presence of two or more witnesses of the same overt act or in an open court of law, if you fail to timely move to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and honor your oath of office, you are subject to the charge of capital felony treason. Woo! 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 Outstanding. All right. So remember, question jurisdiction, contract. Don't signature and wave your rights away. Say you're there on a special appearance. And anytime you're in a court situation, if you have any questions, just contact P.O. Box 32, London, Arkansas, Dwane Kirkland, Bill of Rights Advocate, self-claimed constitutional officer. That's what I claim under the 10th Amendment. And I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. And I'm a perfect example of being a victim. I was a war criminal from our own government. I laugh about it now because the FBI actually benefited me and helped me on that situation. They held me in prison for 3 days on that Oregon standoff, and then the FBI found that I was a good guy, not a bad guy, and I was just there doing observation to assist to protect the Constitution, so they never charged me for anything. They dropped all charges, gave me my weapons and everything back, but they still put a red flag on the NISC whenever I get pulled over or run. Some states says that I'm a felon and a criminal, and they treat me like one. But I'm not getting into all that. I'm going to put a closer on this. I want to say thank you for listening. I want to say I love my country. I love my people. We the people of the United States. The Bill of Rights has no color. The other thing is I love God, and I will leave it at that. Oh, and trust in God, and you can move mountains.